Hello, and welcome to the show Goldsquadrongays. It's the podcast where two Star Wars loving gays break down each episode of their favorite Star Wars TV shows while also being gay as hell. I'm your host, Bradley Brower.
And I'm Charles Rogers, currently staring at a blank white wall behind Bradley. But a different blank white wall than usual. Bradley, how are your arms feeling?
Tired. It was a long flight.
Late flight?
That was a joke. My arms are tired because I was flying.
Oh, Jesus. I hate you. I hate you so fucking much.
Just kidding. I didn't fly.
You can't do this. If Bradley's sound is a little bit weird this week, it's because he just moved. So
exactly. I don't have any Baby Yodas on the wall to catch my drifting
You have
noise.
no Baby Yodas. They are such a vital, important part of this podcast.
People don't realize it, but they capture all my Funkos capture the sound on the walls so that my voice doesn't reverberate around the world, basically.
Rather like those flamethrower things that the Mandalorians have, those awful, terrible little things, which are my enemy, and I will physically fight all of, do have some minor, very specific uses. I muffle my sound with books and Legos like an adult.
I just realized I didn't write an intro to the show.
You didn't write an intro to
no,
the show?
you know how I do how I always do like a summary or whatever, like whenever we start talking about the episode, I'm looking at my notes and I'm going, 2 things you liked and 1 thing you did not. Oh wait, where's my summary of the episode?
Did you not summarize the episode?
Nope, but I'm going to do it on the fly once we get to it. So
Special episode of Goldsquadrongays. Bradley is just going to do the episode summary just on the fly.
On the fly.
I will correct him when he makes a mistake because it will happen. All righty. Well, I mean, we have nothing.
I was going to say.
I didn't fuck anything up last week that I think I need to point out. There wasn't really any news we need to talk about, so let's get into it.
This week, Boba Fett decided to work for a living by taking over Jabba's old job as a gangster. Unfortunately for him, no one seems to care. 40 is really tough for some people, especially clones.
So I am going to cheat a little bit here, listeners. We did have to briefly discuss that in a cut segment and in the intervening time. As Bradley was reading that out loud, I went, wait, he's not 40 in this? What?
I mean, he looks pretty rough for 40, but...
No, I went and checked. He was born in 32 BBY. This is 5 years after Return of the Jedi.
Well, it's technically the same time as Mandalorian, right? So it's 5 to 8.
Yeah, it's five-ish. So if he was born in 32 BBY, and then plus 3, plus 5, yeah, he's 40.
Damn. He looks pretty interesting for 40.
I mean, the man's been through a lot. Like his face is awesome.
Let's compare to how old is Tamora Morrison for real?
Tamora Morrison for real is 60. And also Tamora Morrison for real is very daddy.
I was going to say, when he gets out of the...
We will get to that. We will get to that. So Tim, babe, you're looking fantastic.
Looking pretty good,
like
sir.
Absolutely looking fantastic. And we are aware that is muscle there. Like, you're looking great. Just punch me in the face, please. But if Boba's supposed to be 40, yeah. Maybe
40-ish. I mean, give or take.
Well, because Bo-Katan and Fennec Shand are both like 60. I never realized the age gap between Boba and Fennec.
Wait, huh?
Oh no, she's 50. Fennec is in her 50s.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Bo-Katan was in her 50s, and I was like, what?
Bo-Katan's in like her 60s.
No, what? Bo-Katan.
Bo-Katan.
Katie Sackhoff, Bo-Katan is supposed to be 60 years old.
She's in like her 60s, yeah.
No, sir.
I'm pretty sure. I will Google this.
No, sir.
I will Google this. I will Google this right now.
If that was true, I apologize to Katie Sackhoff right now for how dirty they are doing her and calling her 60 fucking years old in this show.
Yeah, maybe
her dead sister is 60 years old in this timeline, but
We know it's 20 BBY was when the first time we see her, and she's probably about 20. Like Oof. I would maybe say.
Can we pretend she's like 16?
And so she's 50. She's like 50 maybe.
What the fuck? No. That can't be true.
Star Wars ages don't matter.
They Clearly.
Don't matter. Clearly. Looking at you, Obi-Wan Kenobi aging.
Jesus Christ.
50 years. No way. 20 years. Yeah. Yeah. Ages are wild. Bradley, give me one thing you liked about this episode and one thing you didn't.
Okay, let's see. One thing I liked and one thing I didn't. One thing I liked, Fennec Shand, great. Proves why he keeps her around. You know, what she's for, essentially. I love having her around, especially when you're pushing 40 and, you know, you can't fight as well as you used to back in the day, I guess. Then, you know, you got your nice, young 50 plus bodyguard to help. No, I love Fennec. I thought she was great. The thing I didn't like, honestly, I didn't like that the episode ended. Like, I felt like I kind of needed a little bit more. I mean, now I know that general like story, I'll call it, will conclude in the next episode of, you know, who hired the assassins and blah, 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 right? But that's the thing I was kind of missing. Like, I kind of needed an end to that blip of the story. I don't know why. I just felt like that would have been a really great premiere, as if like you had the whole entire thing and the premise was setting up his struggle to become, you know, the head gangster or whatever.
So you and I actually had the same dislike. I thought that the episode, it ended on kind of a weird note in the present day. So I was kind of expecting maybe one more present day scene.
Agreed.
To kind of wrap us up, like, because we have a complete arc for him in the past storyline.
Right.
That storyline ends with him gaining the respect of the Tuscan chieftain.
Yeah, it's very beginning, middle, and end.
Not a captive to them anymore.
Right.
Great note to end. But because the future plot doesn't really necessarily, I feel like, conclude on a very strong note, I am kind of seeing what they're doing though with the flashbacks, where it's like it's going to go into flashback when he's in the back to tank, and the flashbacks are diegetic because they're dreams that he's presently having.
Right.
I see where they're going with that, but on the other hand, Fennec captures the guy, he goes into the back to tank, and that's just where that plot ends. I'm not sure how you could do it any differently, though.
Yeah.
But one thing I liked in this episode, I liked a lot of the different creatures and droids that we see just wandering around there. Like, it has a very Jabba's Palace sequence from Return of the Jedi just feel to the whole show, in terms of just, let's do weird aliens and let's do a giant 20-foot tall droid walking around in the background. Like, I loved the different details to it.
Yeah.
To that. I also loved a lot of other things that we will get into in my ridiculously long list of notes.
Great.
But that's an overarching one that I want to bring up, is the design of all of the creatures and just them hanging out in the background, the different droids hanging out in the background. It's just a real Jabba's Palace, Return of the Jedi vibe.
Agreed.
I also liked the times that Tamura Morrison was shirtless.
That's 2 likes.
That is 2 likes.
I'm just kidding. No, he was great. I love that. And before we actually get into the episode itself, the Star Wars logo changed. I don't know if you caught it.
But, I did not. Let me pull up Disney Plus.
Pull it up and see. It's only the last 2 that changed, that I could tell.
Let's pull it up here live on the air. Well, Let's see. There's Phasma and Mando. What am I looking at here? Because I saw what are the two that changed?
So the last two that changed are it is now Boba Fett's helmet and Fennec Shan's helmet.
Oh, I was just looking at the normal thing. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That I was just looking at the front thing that plays when you click on the Star Wars page. That makes sense. I think there was some Bad Batch. We talked about this though. I think in the Bad Batch.
It changes with every single one. Yeah,
it changes with every show.
Which is kind of a fun Easter egg almost. Like it's like a fun like little like I wonder what they're gonna put in this one. So I like that it changes.
If you're doing like a podcast where, for example, you're two Star Wars loving gays and you're breaking down each episode of your favorite TV shows while also being gay as hell, Tamara Morrison, please call me. That would be the kind of fun thing that you would want to point out.
Absolutely.
All right, let's get into the episode. Bradley, I know you've prepared the summary, so take it away.
I did. Our story begins with a series of flashbacks as Boba Fett takes a nice bath into the Bacta tank and dreams of his headless father.
So Jesus Christ, Bradley. Actually, no, let's skip ahead of my notes. I want to talk about that headless scene.
Well, here, we can just go in order. So literally the first thing we see is Camino.
Well, no, the first thing we see is Jabba's palace.
And, I mean in the flashbacks. I meant in the flashbacks.
I'll go in order of the sequence. I just real fast want to bring up Jabba's palace.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because I feel like opening it with these shots establishing it has two purposes. The first is very clearly Jabba's palace is going to be a character in this show in its own right. That it is the seat of power. It is his claim to the throne as he is the one who currently occupies the palace. It is going to be integral to the show. So opening on it makes sense. The other thing is showing it empty with only him in there is important because, as we will see later on as the episode progresses, the show is about him building up his empire. We have to have a place to start.
Right.
So it's important to show that it's empty to show the vessel that we will eventually fill as the show goes on. I told you my notes are extremely.
They're very extensive. Oh my goodness.
They're very extensive. Also, immediate shirtless Tamara Morrison. Just immediate when he's in there.
Yeah.
We will point out every instance where Tamara Morrison is shirtless, but
okay.
I feel like a good portion of our audience already noticed. Let's talk about Camino and the headless Geonosian flashback.
Yeah, I thought it was weird, first of all, because I wasn't expecting the Camino scenes to like visually like just show up. Like, I don't know what it was. I was genuinely shocked for a second. And then I was like, wait, that's Camino. And then I was like,
big year for Camino.
Then it's Geonosian. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, I don't know. I just thought it was interesting.
You got to think that's where he grew up. So it's like flashing back to that. I don't know if that was a shot from Attack of the Clones for Camino.
For Camino, I wasn't sure because it was just establishing shots. They weren't anything specific. There was a shot of like obviously ocean and like, the buildings and stuff, but that was it. And then
you can kind of see Slave One in it. So that's what I'm thinking. Maybe it's like,
yeah. I don't know. I have to go back and watch it again and double check because I was like, maybe. But I also because in the second flashback, or the Geonosis. I'm sorry. Part of it is from Attack of the Clones, and I believe the other part where he's looking at the helmet is a new shot.
That is a new shot. Yeah. So
okay. It was too clean. So I was like,
somebody talked about it on Twitter. I can't remember who it was that I think it might have been Daniel Logan that said that it was that the wide shots were at least filmed at the same time as Attack of the Clones. I don't know if they're the exact shots from the movie. They may be outtakes from the movie. They may be alternate takes. But the one of him holding the helmet, that is new. That is using a double. And then that's Daniel Logan's face superimposed on it.
Gotcha.
as archival.
I figured it looked a little too new, so I was like, But now this makes me curious. Are they going to continue this trend moving forward in the that's funny. I was gonna say moving forward in the flashbacks. In the future episodes.
I hate nonlinear storytelling. Truly. Truly I do. Truly I do.
So then in the the Sarlacc.
Let's talk about the Sarlacc sequence.
Okay. Well, first of all, let me just say, in this one sequence alone, I got 3 hits on my bingo card. All these flashbacks that I made.
Yes, so I will definitely have posted your bingo card to Twitter by the time this episode goes live.
Well, it's on Instagram.
Definitely a thing. So. Yeah, it's on Instagram if you want to go look at it, and I will post it to our Twitter if you want to follow along.
And then I'm going to post the card with X's on it after. So the story is going to progressively after each episode. I'm going to put the X's as they go. So in this one alone, I had on my bingo card, I had Camino. So whether that was visiting or a mention, that was pure fucking luck. Like that was pure fucking luck. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm gonna count this one because he's technically visually in the episode. I put Django on my bingo card.
This counts. He is technically visually in the episode.
His fucking head was in the episode, so I have to count it. And then also I have Sarlacc. So
yes, that one almost would be a free space.
Before we get into the Sarlacc, I saw this hilarious edit on TikTok of somebody who stitched together the scene of Boba climbing out of the Sarlacc pit.
I was going to bring this up, but please continue the story that you're going to tell.
And the voiceover is from the monologue scene in Parks and Recreation where he's monologuing, and one of the things he talks about in his monologue, he goes, "We see the hand of Boba Fett shoot out of the sand and grasp
like he has the pan down and
everything is spot on.
Nailed it.
It was like how long ago did that show come out? Like
20 this episode would have had to have been
like 2004.
No, it would have been 2013. It would have had to have been 2013 or 2014 because it mentions JJ.
2014. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
It mentions it's 2014 because it mentions JJ Abrams by name.
Right, because he was talking something about the Force Awakens, but he was like, "This is the actual Force Awakens.
This is how I think he should start it."
Yeah,
so it hadn't come out yet.
Right, because he was making it up as he went along. Anyway, I just thought it was funny that they superimposed this current episode with his monologue, and I was like, that's pretty accurate how he said it. So I was like, that was great. Good for him, first of all. Second of all, the whole Sarlacc scene in general, kind of almost like a weird alternate dimension. Like I felt like we were watching the first couple seconds of what people thought the Mandalorian was going to be about before we knew anything about the Mandalorian. And that was it. Like that opening shot of the Sarlacc and everything. And I was like, that's what people thought the Mandalorian was going to be.
Yeah, when it jumps to him and he's inside the thing, and I'm like, wow, this is a lot. And like I am not personally claustrophobic, but that made me uncomfortable with just how squished in it was.
Right.
And how confined it was. And I'm like, wow, this is supremely uncomfortable.
I also love how they added the sound edits of like him literally like garbling on like the inside. Like he literally couldn't breathe because like he had so much like fucking disgusting intestine juice in his throat or whatever. Like
there's a famous piece of fan art that kind of looks like this. I'm not sure whether or not it's a reference, but it looks like that piece of fan art.
Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty cool. So people have been thinking about like Boba Fett's escape from the Sarlacc for 30, 40 years. 40 years they've been thinking about how he pulled that off. Right. Here's my question. I was discussing this with someone last night. How did the stormtrooper get there?
That was an interesting thing because I thought the same thing too. Because when I saw the stormtrooper, I was like, there was no stormtrooper on Jabba's barge. There was no, so that that person had to already be there.
Right. And I was like, is there a garrison on Tatooine? Is Tatooine important enough to leave a garrison on? Because the
Right.
stormtroopers we see in A New Hope are the stormtroopers from the Devastator that Vader sends down to
Right.
go and retrieve 3PO and R2. So like maybe it was a stormtrooper that was there on the Devastator or got left behind, and like
because he got swallowed by a Sarlacc. So
yeah, clearly. Like, did he just like stumble into the Sarlacc pit? Like, I need to know how this stormtrooper ended up in there.
Yeah. Well, now they've left the door open for a comic book series about that one stormtrooper who just fell into the Sarlacc. They will
probably address it. We will bring up comics. We will bring up the comics several times in this episode.
No, I thought that was weird, but I did like how he used the stormtroopers, quote unquote, oxygen to kind of
so
breathe.
They're vacuum sealed. Stormtrooper armor can vacuum seal. That we see them go out into space in Rebels, and that they can briefly vacuum seal their armor. Right. So it would make sense that there was a little bit of a respirator still in there that Boba Fett could use. You know what else?
Maybe. I don't know, because if what you're saying before is that he falls in A New Hope, and then 2 years later, his oxygen is
3
still
years
there.
later, but
3 years later.
I guess.
But you know what I mean? Like, is it still good? Like, it's still chilling there in the Sarlacc pit? Like,
I have questions. I have a lot of questions, but I was briefly distracted from my questions, because what else does he use in the Sarlacc?
Well, at least
do you want to say it, or do you want me to say it?
Well, I love, before we say what it is, I love that it is the crux of how he truly gets out of the Sarlacc. Like, I love how that's the thing that, quote unquote, takes down the Sarlacc to allow him to escape.
John Favreau, who I'm now convinced is listening to this show, because this seems like it was put in there directly to spite me. So I'm now going to talk directly to Jon Favreau. John, did you have Boba Fett get out of the Sarlacc with the flamethrower, my enemy, specifically to spite me? Because it's okay if you did. I respect that level of petty spite. But I
think he did.
I think you need to not take me constantly bashing the flamethrower in Mandalorian so personally, John. I feel like it's not that deep. No, he does use the flamethrower to get out, which I saw and I was like, oh my God.
I mean, to be fair, the only other time we've seen him use the flamethrower, right, was like for 0.2 seconds fighting Luke and Han and Chewie and all of them on the barge, right? So
very briefly, yes.
This was his redemption.
Okay. Unfortunately, we do have to admit, for now, this show has a 100% flamethrower usefulness success.
Tis true. So, hey,
as much as that,
bad about that
pulls up bile in my throat to say, the flamethrower was useful in this situation. And it does kind of make sense, because it's not the kind of thing most people who drop into the Sarlacc are gonna have.
Right.
So just kind of makes sense.
What can I do to get out? Yeah.
He could burn his way out.
Mm-hmm.
And if the Sarlacc is moist enough, then it would prevent it from catching fire and spreading too much and like killing him. But theoretically, yes, he could burn his way out with the fucking goddamn flamethrower. Fuck me.
I mean, I'm gonna just give it to him for now, and then if it comes back up later, then maybe we'll have an issue. But
I did think seeing the ruin of the sail barge was cool.
I thought that was nice. I liked how you could also see when he crawls out, you can kind of see a little bit of the tentacles, and you can see, so I thought that was kind of nice, because for someone who grew up on the special editions versus the original copies of the movie,
Right.
I have always liked the special edition version of Return of the Jedi more than I like the original version, because I'm used to, the Jedi Rocks, song and like all that stuff. And so the
This
bird mouth and the
explains so
tentacles.
much about who you are as a human person.
Right. But the bird mouth and the tentacles, like that is something in my brain that I just think that Sarlacc, like that's just something that has always been there for me. I don't think of them it just being a hole with teeth. You know what I mean? Like I just think of it as, oh yeah, the little parrot mouth comes out and then the little tentacles, and then that's all. That's what I think of.
I grew up at a time where the VHS, like I grew up at a time where you would still rent things on VHS. DVDs weren't really a thing yet.
Right.
And you could get both the theatrical cuts and the special editions in 1999 when they came out. So I actually grew up on the theatrical cut and then got the special editions later. I did always like the Sarlacc in the special editions more.
Yeah. I don't know. That's just a preference, but some people will probably fight me on that.
I'm sure many people on the internet will fight you on that. You know who else fights, apparently, is the fucking Jawas that roll up.
Those Jawas are fucking jerks. Like
those Jawas are like, we are ready to throw down. We are ready to scrap.
My favorite part of that the whole entire little bit was he's so fucking tired, he passes out. The Jawas come, they're like, oh shit, free armor on a dead body. So they go and they start grabbing it. And then they're just like, oh shit, he's still alive? Bam, let's knock him out.
Oh, he's not dead. That's an inconvenience. Right. Let's remove the inconvenience and keep robbing him anyway.
Right. I was like, what the fuck?
I'm like, I just watched A New Hope again, and I'm like, I'm starting to feel less bad for you little fuckers.
The second they take off his armor, then he's just like being sunburnt to hell.
Oh yeah, no, like that's probably why he looks older than he actually canonically is. Like earlier I was like, damn Boba, you're 40 and you're wearing it real tough. But in fairness to him, when he gets stripped out of it, initially he does look about 40, and then he gets super sunburnt all to hell.
Right.
And gets the crap beaten out of him. So I'm like, yeah, you know what? This makes sense. This makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
He does get picked up by the sand people.
The native Tatooiners.
Yep. Who do ride in single file to hide their numbers.
That's right.
And I do want to mention an aspect of the Tuscans in this episode that it was nice to see. I do love the Tuscan Raiders. I love that the Tuscan Raiders are getting humanized. It also cannot necessarily be overlooked that the Tuscans do take people captive.
Mm-hmm.
And will use them essentially as like, it looks like basically slave labor,
right.
Or combat, something like that they use them for. And that's something that I looked at and I was like, oh, that's an interesting dimension. Because like if you're a desert tribe like that and you stumble across somebody in the desert, it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense actually, that they would say, okay, well, we're going to take you captive and you can do the digging that we don't want to do. It's not a good aspect of their culture. It is bad.
Right.
But it rounds them out. And it's interesting to see the portrayal of them from Boba's point of view in this episode versus how we saw them in Mandalorian as a little more sympathetic. So I like the picture that's being painted of the Tuscan Raiders over the course of these shows. Not wild about constantly going to Tatooine, but if you are going to do it, yes, let's take some time to flesh the Tuscan Raiders out a little bit. It's also worth mentioning that during this sequence, the theme song starts playing for the first time. So I think I want to take a minute here, Bradley, before you take us into the title card, to just say, Ludwig Göransson, you did not have to go this hard. Babes, I love you, but you did not have to go this hard. Okay? You can dial it back just a little. They don't all have to be bangers, Chief. Come on. No, I'm sorry. The fucking theme song kicks ass.
I love it. Hey, I mean, I like how they're going with like a definite not, I don't want to say like theme, but like, you know how like they all sound like they're part of the same universe, the same, like they all work together, like they're kind of harmoniously together. So it's like a nice, like you can kind of hear where like the Mandalorian is like changed into this Book of Boba theme song. Like you're like, oh, okay, I see it.
You know what it really reminded me of? Was the Kyners music on Clone Wars. It reminded me of how it got sort of off the wall and out there and was drawing from all sorts of musical inspirations from all over the world.
Right.
It wasn't specifically just doing the John Williams thing again. So the theme song is an absolute banger and I love it. Bradley, let's talk about the title card. You want to tell us about the title card?
That's right. Chapter 1, Stranger in a Strange Land.
We've been recording for 35 minutes and we are now on the title card.
I saw that, so we should probably hurry up and get back into this flashback because otherwise we're going to keep going.
Let's keep going.
During his Back to Dream, Boba recounts his time with the native Tatooiners and how he tried to escape their capture.
Let's talk about the episode title in this title card. No, because I am going to slam my foot down. I cannot let the episode title go unmentioned. Bradley.
Yes.
Do you know why the episode title is significant?
Is it a song?
I fucking hate you. I hate you with every fiber of my being. Oh boy.
Is it an Alice in a Wonderland reference?
The jokes write themselves, folks. The jokes absolutely. I don't even have to say anything. And a good chunk of our listenership knows exactly what's going on with this interaction. Bradley, Stranger in a Strange Land is a book. So books are these things with like, it's like a two cardboard like sheets. And then you kind of bind paper in them and they print words on them. You can read them. I know this is a shocking concept to you, but they are real things that exist. No, Stranger in a Strange Land is a book title. The book by a guy named Robert Heinlein. Robert Heinlein can absolutely fuck off. Like, piece of shit. Fucking hate that guy. Do not like him. Will not go on a tangent about this. But so the theory then is that every episode title will be book titles.
Oh. Interesting.
Because it opens Stranger in a Strange Land is a fairly famous book. So the idea is that maybe all of the episode titles, because it's the Book of Boba Fett, will be book titles. And that will be the
right. That'll be the naming convention.
That'll be the naming convention that we're going with.
Okay.
Hopefully they will pick a better book that is not about a libertarian sex cult.
Gotcha. Now, do you think because I just looked it up. So do you think it's because it's a sci-fi novel that's why they chose
I think that it, I hadn't thought of that. I swear to God, if one of these episodes is called Dune.
Well, I was just about to get into that because I was just about to say
I will become the Darth Maul. I will. Truly, I will.
Well, because I just looked it up. So it has something to do with like being on Mars or something like that. So I was like, so does that mean that
I do not have time to explain the plot of Stranger in a Strange Land?
So is Mars like Tatooine? Is that the euphemism we're trying to go with there? Yeah.
I think because it's a sci-fi book was what they were going for. But
Got it. Okay,
I'm going to be curious to see what the naming convention
Yeah, well, I guess we won't know until the next episode what it'll truly be, but
Unappreciated absolute gem of this episode, Tuscan Kid.
First of all, Tuscan Kid is cruel as fuck, by the way, because him and his buddies all got in a little circle and started kicking the shit out of Boba.
Well, that's the character arc is Boba saves him at the end of the episode.
Oh no, it was a good arc.
Despite the kid being a dick to him.
Of course. I saw that coming from a mile away. When that happened, I was like, oh, the story is the kid is a jerk at first. And then at the end, he's going to win like the affection of Boba in some way where he's like, oh, I like him now.
Yes. Wesley Kimmel is who plays the Tuscan Kid. I checked his credits. Not really anything worth bringing up there, but I do want in this sequence to bring up the Tuscan Chief. We're going to put a pin in the Tuscan Warrior. We're going to come back to her later. But I want to bring up the Tuscan Chief. The Tuscan Chief is a guy named Javier Jimenez, I believe is how you say this. I apologize. We are famously bad at names on this show. Javier Jimenez is the guy's name. And I want you to Google what this guy looks like.
Does he look like a Tuscan Raider?
I want you to Google for me the IMDb page for this gentleman.
I don't know how to spell Jimenez.
Just go to the Book of Boba Fett thing and you'll be able to find him. He's on there as Tuscan Chief.
Okay, so I'm pulling it up right now. Javier. Oh, it's like with an X. Interesting. Javier Jimenez. Oh, interesting. You know who he looks like?
Who?
He looks like he could be related to Enfys Nest, the actress who plays Enfys Nest.
Yes, I did think that. I was like, oh, he looks really similar.
Whoa, that's an interesting shirtless picture of him.
I was hoping you would get to this.
Well, okay, Mr. Tuscan Raider Chief. Damn.
There's a reason I brought the Tuscan Chief up on the show.
Right?
Shit.
Javier.
Right? Like, god damn,
Jesus
sir.
Christ, you could crack a walnut with those boobs. God.
Congratulations on your face and your shirtless photos and just this show.
God.
This show is full of so many attractive men, which I love because there's a wonderful range of them.
Yeah, but why are they covering his face with a Tuscan Raider mask? Like, sir.
Here's the thing. Somehow, he is still sexy in the Tuscan Chief outfit. Yeah. And I cannot explain this to people. But the best thing is just go Google what he looks like. And that's why.
Fun fact, he's also in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I was also going to bring that up. He is in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Well, sir, you are doing really well. Oh, he was in the Marshall episode as a Tuscan Raider?
Oh, interesting. I did not know that.
He was only credited as Tuscan Raider number 2, but still, the sheer fact that he has been upgraded from Tuscan Raider number 2 to Tuscan Raider Chief, that's pretty impressive, I have to say. I mean,
congratulations on your promotion.
I love it. So good for him. That's awesome. Does some sexy guy play the Red Rhodium too?
I do not believe a sexy man plays the Red Rhodium physically, but I do believe one voices them. And he's not credited as such on IMDb, but I vaguely remember reading on Twitter from someone credible that that is Sam Witwer providing the voice.
Oh, okay.
AKA Darth Maul / Emperor Palpatine / Galen Merrick.
Interesting. Oh, well, that's because he's done Greedo before, right?
I believe he has done Greedo.
We talked about how he did Greedo in the...
No, Matt Lanter did Greedo in the holiday special.
Holiday special, right?
We will get to the holiday special here in a minute.
Oh, God. Okay.
That's coming back. But apparently Sam Witwer is the voice of that Rhodian. Speaking of hot men doing Star Wars things.
Right.
Uh,
Interesting.
just because Sam Witwer is amazing. That is Dawn Denninger, I believe, is who is credited as the Rhodian prisoner on IMDb.
Okay.
It looks like they're a fabricator, special effects. So that's them in the suit, and I believe that is Sam Witwer uncredited doing the voice.
Huh. Okay.
We get to see a Mastiff, which is cool.
Love the puppies.
I like how Boba Fett is fully prepared to kill this child. Like 100%. 100% is going to kill that child if the other Tuscans hadn't shown up.
Right?
Like he's 100% going to do it. I love that. My last note is, let's bring up the Tuscan Warrior, who is
Let's do it.
Beats Boba Fett. That is a woman named Joanna Bennett.
Okay.
Joanna Bennett is an all-around badass. Joanna Bennett is a stunt woman who has done stunts for all sorts of things. Just looking at her IMDb page, she was Gal Gadot's stunt double in Zack Snyder's Justice League. She's in Avengers Endgame. She's in the stunt double for Brie Larson in Captain Marvel, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Justice League, Wonder Woman. She's done just a shitload of stunt double stuff.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yep.
Damn, all these Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. people in this fucking
generally
show.
An all-around badass.
Yeah, I love it. Good for her.
I don't think she quite completes our Disney trifecta, because I don't see anything on here for mocap, but she's just an all-around badass, and she kicks ass. And she's awesome.
Finally, Boba wakes up from his dreams, semi-nude, so that he may greet Jabba's old vassals who have come to pay tribute.
I would like to thank God and also Jesus for Tamura Morrison wearing only the back-to-tank thing in this episode.
I would also like to thank Moses. I would also like to thank Noah. I would like to thank...
I'm sorry, Daddy. They really said we are going to give people what they want, and what they want is ultra sexy dad bods in Star Wars.
Well, clearly we just need to get in a back to tank, and it'll just
clearly
build you up.
Clearly, that's what we're going for here.
It's making 40 look pretty good on him. So
hot damn, I want to look that good when I'm 40.
Right?
I want to look that good when I'm 40.
Well, technically, you want to look that good when you're 60, because he's technically 60.
That is true.
So
all credit to Tamura Morrison.
Yeah.
Congratulations on how attractive you are at 60. Goddamn, what is your secret?
I also feel like they included this to be like, look, guys, because I remember how when we talked about in The Mandalorian, when he got his armor on, everybody's like, doesn't seem like it fits right, because he's probably too fat or something. And it's
there was that whole stupid thing where awful corners of the internet.
Yeah.
It's no, shut up. The man is in fantastic shape.
He was too muscly for his armor. That's what it was.
Well, I like it too, because there's sort of this prevalent problem over just all of media in general, where we're shown the quote unquote default male body type, and it's this super ripped, I have 12 personal trainers and I drink 18 protein shakes a day. And people that are healthy don't always look like Marvel superheroes.
Right.
You can be very healthy and very fit and look nothing like Chris Evans. No shade to Chris Evans. He looks great. But healthy people aren't always going to look like that. And I think it's awesome that we're seeing a wide variety of people kicking ass in Star Wars that aren't just Marvel superheroes. I think that's cool. Also, Tamura Morrison, I am available all of the time. Please call me. Pivoting off that, though, let's talk about the direction of Boba Fett as a character, specifically how vulnerable they've made him in this show.
Mm-hmm.
Because right off the bat, we established that he has some sort of chronic pain or chronic illness that is going on, that he's constantly having to go into this back to tank for.
Right.
And the first thing he does when he comes out of the back to tank is tell Fennec Shand the dreams are back, which is an extremely vulnerable moment. He doesn't have to do this.
Right. He doesn't tell her. No.
But he does. He chooses to share this information. So right off the bat, we established that Boba, at least at this stage, is maybe maturing to a point where he's comfortable being vulnerable, and like he doesn't necessarily see this as a weakness, which is interesting, an interesting direction for the character. And I'm seeing a lot of petulant bullshit whining on the internet about how they de-badassed Boba Fett. And I'm like, shut up, cry more, whatever. This is interesting to me.
Yeah.
How the way that they're treating him in this show.
And it also kind of shows you too, like, if he is this vulnerable or whatever, he absolutely trusts Fennec Shand, like 100%. There's no like doubt. There's no like, I don't trust any, you know what I mean? Like he 100% trusts her with his life, with everything. So like he'll tell her whatever. So like they're at least they've already established that before, but it's like this is like kind of solidifying that for us, because it's like he was this quote unquote badass who would never like tell anybody his secrets or anything like that. And then now you have this one person that is his right hand who like he absolutely for no other reason will trust, and is like, hey, my dreams are back. Like I'm having bad dreams again. Like da 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 da. And so she recognizes this, and she goes and she's like, oh, she's like, well, you need to, essentially suit up, because like we don't have time to deal with your your problems right now. We gotta get in there.
Kick-ass armor montage, which I was correct about being in the opening. Yeah. I was correct about this being the opening to the present day segment, was them suiting up.
Yeah.
In the armor.
I love it.
Yeah, no, it's great. And we'll talk more about the relationship between Fennec and Boba as we progress through. So the vassal scene, that's Robert Rodriguez as the Trandoshan, by the way. We'll leave it that. Doc Strassi is played by director Robert Rodriguez.
Oh, that's who that was. Okay, I was wondering, because I couldn't find it at first, and I was like, where is? Because I didn't write that down as like my out of the. I only had two people.
Well,
because they were in the credits. So.
Him. He's credited as the voice. I don't know if that's him in the suit, actually.
I don't see it on IMDb as anybody else. So
yeah, that's him as the voice of Doc Strassi.
Okay.
Doc Strassi brings a Wookiee pelt because, of course, he does.
Oh my god, I saw that and I was like, awkward. But hey, that's one step closer to seeing Bossk in this show, because that is one step closer to seeing Bossk.
I'm
ready for it.
I had a series of bounty hunter action figures, and Bossk was always my favorite. So I have a special spot in my heart for Bossk, and I really want to see him. I also just watched Empire again last night, and I was like, oh goddamn, I love this scaly lizard.
Well, and also I really like the costuming for the Trandoshans now. Ever since I saw the trailer with all of them in it, I was like, oh, this is like, they can finally do it where they can talk and they can move and they can emote, you know what I mean? Like versus obviously back in Empire where he doesn't really do anything. Like his mouth is just kind of solid,
he stands there menacingly.
Yeah, menacingly. So I love that, because I love having those people in there.
Mask is very creepy though.
Yeah. Oh, the eyes are like, I feel like, well, actually, you know what's funny is about it? I don't think the eyes are real. I think the eyes are animated and the rest of it is practical. So I think that that's what's interesting about it.
I have to go back and re-examine this scene.
I would, because they seem a little too bright or animated, or they're moving a little too well. So yeah, watch it again. I think they are CGI, and then the rest of it is practical.
The bit about the protocol, we need to get a protocol droid, made me laugh. Also, clearly set up for something.
Well, that's what I was going to say that too. So not only currently they have a torture droid acting as a fucking protocol droid. So let's start with that.
Yeah. So that's 8D8. It is credited incorrectly on IMDb. That is 8D8. The subtitles confirm it.
Mm-hmm.
That is the torture droid from Return of the Jedi.
That's awesome.
That is the same torture droid. Do you know who voices the torture droid?
I looked it up. It says Matt Berry.
Do you know who Matt Berry is?
Not a clue.
Do you watch What We Do in the Shadows?
I do not.
That is your fucking problem.
I know people who watch it though, so I'm sure
he is a main character in What We Do in the Shadows. You should also watch it. It is very funny.
Interesting. Okay, I've heard that before, that it's a good show, so maybe.
But he is voicing 8D8.
I love that. And I love how they, like you said, they are clearly, or at least I hope they are setting up the fact that maybe Boba will get a protocol droid. And so not our team of 2 will essentially become a team of 3 by introducing some kind of hilarious, like, protocol droid who's just like ridiculous in some way, like to kind of balance them out.
The secret that they don't want to tell us, the Grogu level secret, is that C-3PO is in this. That they get C-3PO for a minute to help him run his criminal empire.
I don't know if I like that. I would be open to 2 things. I would either be open to the silver C-3PO in Phantom Menace coming back, who's a lady. I like that one. She's got a great voice.
Oh, the one from the Trade Federation?
Yes. I don't know if she's still alive, but I would be interested to see her come back, or at least a version of her. You know what I mean? Right.
The silver one, which I think is also, it's like a white one or silver one in Empire. The one that says,
yeah.
Bradley, one. God damn it. You're going to get our podcast kicked off of the platforms if you use that sort of language.
So that was that was my second my second option would be to have that.
You can't just say things like that on the podcast. What the fuck, dude?
I mean, I try my best, but
what the flying midair blurg fuck? Like, what is wrong with you?
Or I would be interested in seeing like maybe a brand new character that is kind of a culmination of it's C-3PO, like, so it's going to be that protocol droid, but I want it to have K2SO's personality.
Or they could just download a protocol module into 8D8 and have 8D8 be a multi-purpose droid.
That would be interesting if they changed his programming. That would be interesting. Like they were like, we don't have time to go find a protocol droid. We'll just like download one and then like
here it's like Baymax. It's like I'm just gonna shove things in. You can translate. So they are visited by the mayor's envoy. Mm-hmm. And the mayor's envoy is played by a gentleman named David Pasquesi. He was on Veep.
Yep, and that's, I told you
credit I recognized him from.
I told you in the Book of Boba episode 0, I said the guy who plays the Twi'lek in the trailer, he looks so recognizable. I don't know who he is, but I'll know when the episode plays. And once we watched it, I was like, oh, he's from Veep. He plays Andrew.
Yep, he plays Andrew in Veep.
Meyer in Veep. And I was like, oh, there you go.
You know what he sounds like, though? So as of recording this, it is December the 30th. In roughly 5 days, I will be acquiring The Fallen Star, which is the new High Republic book. And I have been listening to the audiobooks in order to prepare for this. And maybe it's just because I've been bathing in Mark Thompson's amazing voice acting for the adult audiobooks. But the mayor's envoy sounds exactly like Marcion Rowe. He sounds exactly like the main villain of the High Republic, Wave 1. Bradley has no idea what I'm talking about. This is for a very specific group of people that listen to this show. Go back and watch the mayor's envoy scene again. He sounds just like Marcion Rowe.
You can hear what they're saying because they're only 5 feet away. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like he can't hear them during this whole conversation. She's like, is it all right if I kill him? And he's like, well, seeing how he works for the mayor, I'm going to say no. She's like, so that means no. And he's like, yeah, that means no. And then, like, I love the whole interaction of this whole scene. It's just great.
I do like sort of the conflict between Boba and Finnick throughout this episode as it's kind of setting up. Boba as this sort of character who wanted this job, but didn't quite know what the job entailed. Like, he had watched other people do the crime lord thing and was like, oh yeah, I can do that.
Right.
And then he tries to do it and he's like, oh, this is hard, actually.
Yeah. And he's noticing that it's also boring. Like, he's noticing he has to kind of go through the motions of, like, so for example, this whole scene is him accepting the tribute. Like, it's like this, like, he has to do like this almost ceremonious like kind of thing with every single person. And then once the major domo comes up for the mayor, he's like, well, wait, you don't have a tribute for me? Like, what's going on? And he's like, oh, well, you're supposed to give me a tribute. And he's like, wait, I'm the
How
gangster
about I
here.
fucking don't?
He's like, I'm the fucking gangster here. What are you talking about?
The way Finnick would have him approach it, he would have no allies whatsoever.
Right.
At all. She's trying to get him to kind of emulate the Hutts because, you know, that was successful, at least until Darth Vader showed up.
Right.
That went badly for them. You don't read comics, so you have no idea what I'm talking about.
No idea.
There's a reason the Hutt Council is not in Return of the Jedi. And it's Darth Vader has a lightsaber. Anywho, but Boba kind of wants to do this. I pulled myself up by this, you know, my own bootstraps kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So this is interesting dynamic between the two of them, right, with regards to how they want to handle the mayor. Boba's saying, I do not torture. Yeah, Boba, honey, you tied Bosk up with no legs and left him to freeze to death in War of the Bounty Hunters. Okay, maybe he's turned over a new leaf.
Well, I mean, I think being digested will do that to someone, you know.
That is true. Although I do think it has more to do with whatever he's going to experience with the Tuscans.
That's true, because we haven't gotten the full flashback yet.
Right.
Like, so, you know, we don't necessarily know where that storyline is going, because clearly they're showing it to us for some particular reason. So there's something there. So it'll be interesting.
Well, yeah, and I think I see some people incorrectly saying, I think, oh, he went into the Sarlacc and he came out and he's got this whole different attitude now.
Right.
And that's not really the case. If you watch the Tuscan scenes, he's got the same attitude he had in the original trilogy and around it, of this very, not very like strategic mercenary type person, who's very competent, but not really thinking outside the box, and hasn't got a bigger picture ideas,
right,
all the way up to where we see him in the current sequences where he's trying to be a crime lord.
And I just realized too, so the Tuscan Raider scenes are all either within the same span of a week or within the same couple days as Return of the Jedi-ish. So
yeah, it's probably a couple of weeks.
Or within at least the same quote-unquote year that took place, right? So, and then Book of Boba, we know, takes place 5-ish years after. So it's going to be interesting to see like the flashbacks, because they have about 5 years to deal with it, you know, before he gets his before he gets his armor back. So it's interesting to see how that goes.
The last thing I want to bring up to this scene, because I did see during the pre-meeting that you were researching it. Apparently, the person in charge of Jabba's palace is called the daimyo.
Mm-hmm.
Bradley, you did a little research on what that word is. Do you want to tell us what you found?
My very, very, very brief and quick Google search to Wikipedia told me that a daimyo is a feudal lord in Japan.
Yeah, basically.
So there you go.
Yeah, a
so
daimyo. Yeah, a daimyo was a feudal lord in Japan. They answered directly to the shogun. They were big in, if you study the Sengoku Jidai at all, or the Warring States period, which they're the same thing. I don't know why I said or. Daimyo are going to play a huge role in that. I also want to apologize for the whiteness of the way that we are pronouncing the word daimyo. Daimyo. I'm going to work on that. But yeah, that's basically what it is it's a reference to the feudal lords. So the whole thing with him like getting tribute and all of that, yeah, that's a reference to that. So I thought that was pretty cool. But Star Wars has never had any Japanese inspiration.
Never.
It's completely divorced from the entire Japanese aesthetic. Yeah. George Lucas did not think about that at all when he was making the movies. So this makes no sense whatsoever. I'm going to whine about it on Twitter now because I haven't had sex in years.
I also like how they didn't even bother changing the word. So they were just like, this is just a thing in Star Wars.
I do kind of low-key love that as well, that they were like, nope, this is a direct fucking reference.
I mean, you might as well like call the Jedi samurais. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just like, why even bother like just changing the words? Like, just be like, yeah, this is what they are.
Maybe they thought, so samurai, like, we know what that is.
Right.
In Western
we don't know
culture.
What a daimyo. Yeah, we don't know.
Maybe unless you're like a history nerd or you really like anime, you probably don't know what a daimyo is. Without going and looking it up. So That is cool, though. I did like that they put that in there.
Fennec and Boba decide to go on a walking tour to check in on the vassals of Mos Espa, during which they enter a cantina run by Twi'lek Jennifer Beals called the Sanctuary.
Mos Espa, babe, you're looking great.
Okay, wait, can we talk about this? Babe. Because they confirmed for us what this fucking city was.
It's Mos fucking Espa.
Okay, please, for my sake, refresh my memory. Mos Espa does not look like this.
It does not.
When we last see it.
It does not look like this. Maybe... So I'm thinking like I'd have to look at the one in Book of Boba again, but I feel like what we're seeing is Mos Espa proper. Like this is the actual city. It's down in the sinkhole. And where Anakin and Watto lived was like right on the edge because they park the Naboo ship right outside.
Right.
And just walk in and go to the first used car dealer they see. So like maybe they're like right on the edge. Maybe they're like out in the boonies of Mos Espa. Like they probably can't even see this.
It would make sense because if Anakin lives, like he's technically, he's a slave, right? So he's poor. And so the poor people would live on the outskirts of the city versus the center of the city, which would be maybe the upper class. And which we see, this is kind of like, this cantina is a little bit cleaner than the last one we've seen.
It has plants in it. Like it literally has plants on
Right. It's almost like an oasis.
It has air conditioning. Yeah.
Right.
It's almost got that.
Very oasis-like.
Fun fact, the Mos Espa design is based off of concept art from episode 1 done by, I believe, Doug Chang. I believe is the guy who did it, who is also doing production work for Book of Boba. So the guy who designed this is one of those people who's been doing the Lucasfilm stuff forever.
Yeah, I love that.
So let's talk about what happens when we walk into the sanctuary. The very first shot we see is of two people. One of them is probably Fig Rindan.
Okay.
of figuring Dan and the Mandal nodes.
The other one's on my bingo card. But
yes.
Continue.
So he is playing a remixed version of the Cantina theme. But he's being accompanied by Max fucking Rebo.
Max fucking Rebo. And what did I put on my what did I put on my bingo card? I put Max.
You put Rebo. Max Rebo. I can take this a step further and say that this lends credence to at least the overarching events of the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special being canon. Because what happens in the Lego Holiday Special? They get Max Rebo to come play, confirming he survived the Sarlacc pit, or the sail barge. And then they're like, oh, all of your people died. That's unfortunate. So we see him with a new band in this. The Lego Star Wars Holiday Special is at least semi-canon.
There you go.
Fuck you, fight me.
I love it. And I loved seeing him because they didn't do it in a way that was like annoying, where like he shows up and then he talks to Boba and he's like, oh my God, Boba, I remember seeing you on the sail barge of a Jabba, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? That would have been annoying. They did it in a cute way where it's like, he's 3 seconds, there he is. It was great.
If I were showing my non-Star Wars for now, watching boyfriend, we are working through it. If I were to show him this episode, he would probably not point to Max Rebo and say, is that someone I'm supposed to know? That's how you know this is a good cameo.
Yes.
Contrast to the one in Rogue One of Dr. Evazan.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's very clear that we are supposed to know who that is.
And Max then they Rebo's make a point of it, yeah.
Yeah, Max Rebo's just kind of there. He's diegetically in the scene, and if you didn't know, it'd be like, oh, neat. That guy's a blue elephant playing the keyboard.
Right. I fucking loved him. I'm glad he's back. I'm glad he found a new band. You know, he needed some more inspiration. The only thing he's missing is his drag queen lead singer, who needs to come back. I don't care how she needs to come back.
So Sice Noodles, canonically, Bradley, is the most beautiful woman in the galaxy.
Oh, for sure.
No, like dead ass, this is canon. She is gorgeous. She is considered gorgeous. Okay. I am not making this up. We also get a few little other Easter eggs. There's a droid with drinks, just like R2 on the sail barge. We see, I believe, an RX unit, the Star Tours / DJ at Oga's Cantina.
Mm-hmm. He's a casino dealer, or he's like a poker dealer or whatever.
The droid drummer. I loved that they have a droid drummer.
Oh yeah, I like how it was like an R4, right? Or an R something, and it was
drumming.
Drumming.
So I loved it. But I want to hit the brakes for a minute and talk about the 2 Twi'leks that come up and talk to them, because there's a super interesting fan interpretation going around.
Oh, okay.
About these 2 Twi'leks that is relevant to this show.
Okay, wait. First, tell me what this fan thing is first, and then I'll tell you what I think it is.
So if you notice, the male Twi'lek has cones on the side of his head.
Okay.
Those biologically only are on female Twi'leks. So the fan theory is that at the very least, this male Twi'lek is a trans man.
Oh.
And that the cones are left over from that transition.
Interesting.
And that this Twi'lek was assigned female at birth, and they're a trans man, and that's why they have the cones. The female Twi'lek that comes up with them has filed her teeth into points, which is generally a thing that male Twi'leks do. I believe the Twi'lek from Mandalorian also has done it, but it is generally considered a male thing in that society.
To sharpen your teeth.
So there's definitely some like gender fluidity going on with these Twi'leks, and I love it personally. Also, very hot.
Well, yeah, I was gonna go in that direction with my little theory was that obviously they're sex slaves or something, because I was like, Jesus Christ, they're both like, hi, we're hot, like, you want to shine your helmet with us? Like, that's what I thought was going on.
Well, I mean, it seems to be a reputable establishment, so I don't know if they're necessarily slaves. They could just be like,
I'm sorry, they could be working,
workers.
consenting
they could
workers.
Be consenting
no,
workers.
100%. I don't mean to go back into the Empire days where everybody's a slave, but right. I just, like, they clearly, they might be sex workers, which is totally acceptable, and I'm actually here for it because it makes the idea that the Jennifer Beals character is kind of the what do you call it when she's like a mistress almost is what they're kind of going for, like a kid-friendly version of. Yeah, what's the what do you call it? The madam of the house. The madam. Like the madam. That's what I was trying to say. I was like mistress. Madam. No, it's not a mistress. Madam. She's the madam. And then like her club, her, whatever, her establishment, she is in charge of all of the workers, or quote unquote dancers, we'll call them. And, yes. Or models is what they like to say in the industry. So they work for her, and I love how like, if you notice too, like there was a quote male and a quote female. I'm putting them in air quotes since you gave me a whole nother different outlook on that, but there was one for Boba and there was one for Fennec, right? Like they were like, oh well, here we have something for everybody here. Or we'll send you them over. Right. Pick your preference. Exactly. We don't know, so we're hedging our bets. What you like. And I like how Boba's like, no, we don't have time for that. But no, I personally, like, I was reading that theory that at least the male Twi'lek is a trans man, and I went, yeah, 100%. 100%. I've chosen to believe this now. He's also extremely hot. Yeah. Like, and he's also in real life, he's a Latino male. So he's his name is Marlon Aquino. So he's it's very spicy. I did not scroll down far enough. Let's take a hello. Yeah, look at his human face. Holy balls. Oh my lord. If you thought he was hot as a Twi'lek, I mean, damn. I mean, I'm looking at the picture of him now. Yeah, I'm looking at the picture of him in the Twi'lek, and I'm like, oh, interesting. Yeah, no, if you notice so head wraps are normally, well, the cones, biologically, the female Twi'leks have, or at least assigned female at birth ones, have cones on the side instead of ears. So right, I used to call them their earrings, but they're not. They're not. They're like their ears. They're part of their head. That's how they hear. Interesting. So I don't. Yeah, I have to go look back on Mandalorian and look at like the different, ones and just see, because I like that, because now that it's something for other people look. I'm looking at Jennifer Beals' character, and she has earrings covering her cones. Basically, we've got a Star Wars safe, kid safe version of a brothel with some wonderful I mean, okay, hey, I'm here for it. Non-conforming stuff going on here. I'm here, and I am personally super here for this. I love it. I'm down for it. But we should talk about Jennifer Beals for a second. We should talk about why is she relevant to our podcast?
Because she was on a little show called, I believe, The L Word.
Right. So in an alternate universe, she's more relevant to our podcast because we're lesbians in an alternate universe. So
because this is hands down one of the gayest scenes I've seen in a Star Wars TV show.
I mean,
and I am so here for this. Like, I loved this scene. More of this, please.
And when I told you in episode 0, I was like, her character fascinates me for some reason. I don't know what it is, but she just visually is stunning. And then now that they've added these other 2 Twilight characters, I'm like, interesting. Like, I need to see more Twilight characters in Star Wars. Because one, the costuming is always interesting. Like, it's very interesting. I love seeing the different colors, because that's what I love about the Twi'leks. They're always different random colors, and it's just like fun. Like, oh, they're green, they're yellow, they're pink, they're orange. Like, who cares? Like, they're all different colors and they're amazing. So I love the costuming. I love all that stuff. I love the sex workers. I think that's great.
I love it. Like, it's obviously a kid-safe version, but like, we know what's going on here. We know what's happening.
Right.
And I personally, again, I'm here for it. I think that with the madam being a Twi'lek herself, I think it's safe to assume that the people working here are doing so of their own free will and also compensated appropriately.
Right, because you wouldn't, like, as a Twi'lek, you would not enslave other Twi'leks. Like, I don't think
fingers crossed you wouldn't. Right. Like, I could see it happening.
Well, yeah, sure. Maybe if she was like awful, of like an awful person, but like
she could turn out to be an awful person. We'll get to that in a second here, but I just want to say for the record, I am the most excited in this show to see more of the sanctuary and figure out more of what's going on here.
Yeah, and I feel like they tease it a little bit, because the way that she talks to Boba in this scene, especially when he's like, oh, this won't take long. He's like, I'm here to collect, like, da-da-da. He's like telling her like the rules or whatever. And she's like, oh, is that what you're doing? Okay.
Oh,
great. Like, and then she's kind of almost patronizing. Like, she's talking to him in a way that's like patronizing, because she's like, oh, that's right, you're in charge. I forgot. Like, oh, totally. You can totally come here whenever you want because you own it.
The level of sass in this woman.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh God.
It's very demeaning the way she
Where's
talks
my Sanctuary spinoff show?
Well, I think they're foreshadowing to the fact that the quote unquote mayor is the real person in charge, and that everybody believes that, like, nobody's like taking Boba seriously at this point. And it's very like, she's like, oh, I forgot you're taking over Jabba's job. Or, well, actually he said Bib Fortuna. He's like, I'm taking over for Bib Fortuna. And she goes, oh, okay. Like, it's almost like
she was under Jabba, and then she's under Bib Fortuna, and now he's her third boss, and she's like, okay, dude, whatever.
She's like, sure, you're gonna last like 3 seconds. Like,
here's your money, fuck off.
Right. As Fennec and Boba leave the Sanctuary Cantina, they are ambushed by assassins. During the fight, all are killed, but one is captured by Fennec Shand.
This is probably not a reference, but it is my semi-regular plug to go and read Master and Apprentice by Claudia Gray. There are orange shields in that, and they can deflect lightsabers. Also, the assassins that attack them, this has been pointed out by multiple people, including Darth Chaco and Star Wars Explained have both pointed this out. They look a lot like the Crimson Dawn assassins. I don't think they're Crimson Dawn. I think it's a coincidence, but they look a lot like them.
Interesting. That would be great for my bingo card later, because I have both Crimson Dawn and Kira on my bingo card. So hopefully one of those two things happens.
So there's an interesting theory floating around that Garsa Fwip knew that Boba was going to be attacked. That's why she paid him by putting Republic credits in his helmet. that he notably then could not put on.
Oh, so he couldn't put on his helmet, so he'd be attacked. Interesting. Yeah, because I love. First of all, we skipped over this. I love Fennec Shan's line. She goes, "Your helmet's shinier than mine." That was the fucking best line in the whole entire episode. Sorry, I just had to. Couldn't go a whole time.
Always.
I know.
We love her.
Her delivery is great. But that's an interesting
flawless, theory. Impeccable. Yeah, that's a theory that she knew, and she was deliberately keeping him from putting his helmet on.
Also, I don't know if this was an error or not. I noticed this in the episode on my second viewing. So when they leave the sanctuary, the Gamorrean guards are behind them. And then when you see the wide shot of them walking and talking, the Gamorrean guards are no longer there. They're not behind them anymore. They're not walking behind them. They come out like the door at the same time, but then we don't see them ever until they
sort of have to disappear so that they can do their big Boba Fett's mercy is repaid by them saving them.
But I almost felt like they were missing a line or something where Boba sends them away. You know what I mean? He's like, all right, we don't need you guys can go home for the day or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, I felt like we're missing that one little thing. And then when they come back, you're like, oh, they weren't really gone. Like, it's fine.
Yeah, I did like, though, that they did a whole thing where like his mercy was repaid with them saving him.
Right.
But also that he murders that guy pretty brutally with the Electra staff. I think I heard a Wilhelm scream in there somewhere.
I think you're somewhere. Right. I didn't make a note of it, but I think you're correct.
Boba Fett definitely disintegrates a dude.
I saw that and I was like, wait a minute. I was like, did I miss something? I was like, did the body just like fall over and I missed it? Or did he like truly just blow up the dude? Yeah.
He's just gone. And it's kid friendly. You can't see like the gore splatter across the thing. Right. But the hilarious side effect is that it's just gone. Like it's just not there.
Gone, but not forgotten. I also love how when the Gamorrean guards are fighting in this scene, they are both useful and deadly. Like you know how we're so used to seeing them as these fat, lazy kind of loser guards, you know, from Jabba's palace. And
no, they throw down.
Yeah, and they're like tanks.
They throw down.
They are tanks. They will kill you. Like they are dangerous.
One guy, that one just like slashes the dude's throat.
That was awesome.
And I'm like, what? What the hell? I also love the moment when Fennec catches up to them. Mm-hmm. And she takes the one dude captive and it looks like she's going to let the other one go. And then she kicks the dude she has captive off and turns it to the other guy as if to say like, yeah, I just killed a man in front of you. Do not even think about running.
I also thought of it as like her being like, you don't know what I'm going to do. I'm crazy. Like, I'll just kill this guy. I don't care. Yep. I'll change my mind at the last second.
It's very die. It's very like, you will die if you cross me kind of deal.
And I noticed how like this connects with what we saw in the trailer where we see that they have clearly captured one of these guys.
They clearly bring them back to Jabba's palace. So I do want to bring that up though, that we were told, oh, it's like the first half of the first episode. And really it's like spread out over the first 2 episodes.
Which is because I read that it was like someone had said, oh, the trailer is only the first 15 minutes of the episode.
Right.
And then you're going to get all this other stuff you're not expecting. And that
we did get a bunch of stuff we weren't expecting.
That's true. But
also this is not the first 15 minutes of the episode.
Right. So what I'm thinking is the first quote unquote 2 episodes are a complete arc of this setting up the season. And that's this story of the assassins attack them, and then we find out what the thread of like who sent the assassins and blah 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 blah. That's what we're gonna find out in the next episode.
Probably get the dinner scene. We'll probably get the mayor scene.
Right.
We'll probably get the swoop bikes.
Agreed.
And by the end of the second episode, we'll have nicely set up. We'll have had our inciting incident, and we'll have set everything up.
I think
to know. Okay, this is what this show is going to be about.
Right. And it was weird too, because like you said, we'll get to it in a second with the last scene, but I felt like it was the flashbacks were a complete story of a beginning, a middle, and an end. And then this present day story was like just the first half. Like we didn't get to finish it.
They should have done what they did for Hawkeye and released the first 2 episodes. I know they only released the first 2 episodes of Hawkeye because they didn't want it to compete with Book of Boba.
Yeah.
But I also do feel like Book of Boba would have benefited by them releasing the first 2 episodes.
I think it would have, yeah. But also, I also see why they didn't do it, because they're trying to stretch it out, because according to my calendar, we don't really have anything after Book of Boba right as of right now, definite. So it's like
we have a lot of things. We just don't know when they come, when they're coming out.
Right. So I think they're trying to stretch it out as long as possible, because I don't know if they have anything to fill in the gap. So we'll see.
Please give us a little bit of a break. Because Film, I'm looking at the shows you have coming out next year, and I'm already tired. I'm already tired. And you're continuing to release the High Republic. Like, January in particular is going to be unpleasant because Fallen Star comes out, and I'm going to be an emotional wreck. I just need Comac and Sai to be okay, the vessel crew, and Ty York. You can have anybody else. I need those 6 to be fine. I'm begging you. Anyway.
As the Gamorrean guards help an injured Boba back to his Bacta tank, he has even more flashbacks of Tuscans where we see he is starting to earn their respect.
So the sequence where the gang like swoops in and is messing with the moisture farm.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was interesting. There's a lot going on in this sequence. Very short sequence, but there's a lot going on in it.
Yeah.
So Jabba is dead. Now, Jabba the Hutt was imposing something called a water tax on the people of Tatooine.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it sucked to live on Tatooine because it was very hard to farm water, and then the Hutts would come and take all of it anyway. The Lars family was kind of special because they had someone preventing Jabba from coming in to take their water tax. A certain crazy old hermit was preventing them from having to take a water tax. Life still sucked for them, but they weren't having to pay this.
Right.
But that was a thing the Hutts did. I think the scene does a couple of things. It shows, firstly, that almost immediately there are gangs moving to fill the power vacuum left behind by Jabba. Almost immediately, they're moving in. It shows how precious of a resource water is, that's what they're coming in and fucking with. Although I do find it interesting they were letting the fountain run. They weren't taking all of it. Like it almost kind of seemed like they were just destroying things for the sake of destroying them.
Right.
But anyway, let's talk about who these people are. Bradley, do you know who these people are?
They're a gang.
Do you know specifically which gang?
The speeder bike gang from the trailer. Duh.
Do you know what the speeder bike gang from the trailer is called, Bradley?
I don't, but let's see. They spray painted some symbol on.
Well,
the
I'll tell you,
thing.
Neither the fuck do I, and I'm just messing with you.
Oh, okay. I was like, it looked like something that we might know.
So they spray paint a symbol on there, which the Rupalps Pod Race account. So I'm not sure which host tweeted this. Perhaps later in this series, we can find out which host tweeted this. But one of them pointed out that is the K symbol in the Hutt language. So there's a lot of theories about who it could be. Could it be Kanja Club is one theory.
Okay.
It could be the Red Key Raiders, which are the raiders that attempted to do the thing with Mos Pelgo that the dude fought. I did know the dude, Cobb Vanth, the people Cobb Vanth fought.
Right.
I I did notice they appeared to have something on their jackets, but I couldn't really see what it was.
I mean, the symbol itself that they drew looked like a J and then a backwards J. So for me, that just means Jabba Jr. And then that means that Rada the Hutt is
It turns out to be
the true villain of this season. Thank you. Welcome to my TED Talk. That was a great
Jabba Jr. I fucking hate
Jabba Jr. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day.
So they have the Tuscan kid like drags them out and has Boba and the Rodian digging for black melons, which we're going to talk about more comics. Yay. Big day for those of us who have sat there and read hundreds and hundreds of Star Wars comics. Big day for us. Those black melons, we have seen them before in The Mandalorian. You remember that. But they also come up in the journals of Obi-Wan Kenobi. In the 2015 to 2019, I want to say, Star Wars comics run. There were a few issues that dealt with Obi-Wan's life on Tatooine, and they came up in that. Obi-Wan wanted to give them to people because they were a good source of water. So Bradley's giving me a look like, oh my God, he's talking about the comics again. Well, buckle up, bitch. Boba Fett's been in a lot of fucking comics. Which I also noted here, speaking of the comics, that the attitude that Boba displays in the flashback sequences, where he's smart, but he's not very forward thinking, is very in line with how he's portrayed in this era in the comics. And I find it interesting to compare it, to see the journey from that to where he's going to be in Mandalorian and Book of Boba. Also, War of the Bounty Hunters was really good. Just gonna throw that out there. Anyway, let's talk about the sand monster.
I like how, first of all, it's just called Sand Monster. Like
sand monster thing.
They didn't even give it a name yet. They're like, it's a sand monster.
It's a sand monster. That is a direct reference to the work of a gentleman named Ray Harryhausen, who is a famous creature guy.
Okay.
From movies. So I was a little like, I was watching the sand monster and I was like, this is almost like something out of John Carpenter of Mars or something. Like, what am I looking at here exactly? You're Googling Ray Harryhausen.
I am. I just need to see his face because it sounded familiar. So I was like, who is that guy?
You probably won't recognize his face, but you will definitely, I think, recognize some of the movies that he did.
Oh, Clash of the Titans. I see that.
He did Clash of the Titans.
The OG Clash of the Titans.
Yeah, he did Jason and the Argonauts from 1963.
Interesting.
He did...
He's a monster guy.
He's a monster guy, yeah. He's a monster guy.
I love it. I love how he loves the monsters.
Yeah. And so
I see. Like the creature that he did in it looks like some, like, not creature from the Black Lagoon, but it looks like some kind of thing. It looks almost the same.
Yeah, he's a big creature guy. And this was a direct reference to that. It was really cool. The fight was really awesome. I loved seeing the Rodian get his comeuppance. And then, yeah, the kid takes credit for the kill.
I thought that was so fucking funny because not only does Boba save this child's life, he's like, oh, by the way, I killed this monster. Look, everybody, look, I have his head and everything. And everybody's like, oh yeah, you did kill that monster. Good for you.
Yeah, like I love that it cuts from Boba Fett standing there with the chain in his hand to the kid running up with the head, and I'm like, I love this kid. I love this fucking Tuscan kid. The kid is really fun. Kid is amazing.
And then just the one last thing I have is that, you know, I like how they culminated the story with, like, the chief recognized that obviously Boba is the one who killed the monster and saved what I'm assuming is his child. So I'm assuming that's the chief's kid, because otherwise why else, you know, why would he be important? And I think he kind of earned his respect in a way because that's why he gives him the water.
Yeah, so we ended with the concept art.
Yes.
Apparently this is going to be a thing in the Mando shows. We're going to do concept art. Two pieces that I wanted to specifically point out. I just like the one where he's staring at the racked armor. And also Boba versus the Tuscan Woman. In the concept art, they're like around the fire doing it, and it's a larger group. I wonder how much of that was changed due to COVID safety precautions.
I mean, probably a lot, because if you go back to that scene where they fight for the first time, it's very clearly like, I don't even know if it's the volume, because it's
the volume. It's got to be the volume.
It just seemed a little like bare bones, like very much like the screen and the ground. Like there was nothing else, you know what I mean? Like, and you can see it's like the 5 Tuscan like extras, and then it's the warrior, and then it's Boba, and that's it. Like it's not a lot.
They clearly wanted it. Like it almost feels like they wanted them to do a fight beside the fire.
Yeah.
With more Tuscans, and ultimately decided, let's just do the volume and do this scene differently instead.
Yeah.
The question of how much of this is actual, and this is a question I've wondered since The Mandalorian, how much of this is actual concept art that they did,
and
how much of it is stuff that later on.
Yeah. I have a feeling a lot of it is later on stuff, but then again, I mean, here's what I think it actually is. I think they take the concept art and they hire somebody to do like high res, very nice looking versions of what the concept art was. So we're not actually seeing the real concept art. We're seeing like a very pretty version of the concept
somebody's prettied it up.
Yeah. So I think that's what it truly is. Or they chose like the best of the concept art, and they were like, can you make a glamour shot of this? And then they're like, yeah, sure. And then, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the art. I think that there's like there's a coffee table book. It's like the art of the Mandalorian season 1 and 2. There's different ones. And it has all the concept art in it, along with, I'm assuming, sketches and actual like concept art, not just the pretty version.
Concept art, like I've looked at art books for the Star Wars films and things. People fundamentally misunderstand what concept art is, like what it's for.
Yeah.
But if you go in and look at it, it's one of the things that really, I'm glad that they're doing it as the ending for these shows, because it's so cool and so underappreciated if you're not the Lord of the Rings. I think the Lord of the Rings was the big one that people were like, holy hell, the concept art for this is incredible, because it was done by John Howe and Alan Lee. Star Wars is another one where if you look at like the art of books, they put a lot of effort. And I remember when some of the concept art for Duel of the Fates was circulating around, and it was like, this was sort of early concept art for stuff. This wasn't necessarily something we were planning to do. We were just sort of helping to visualize it. So I'm always really glad to see concept art, just because that's another department that I feel like goes underappreciated. Speaking as someone who is a writer, who works with a co-writer who is an artist, who does concept art, it is super important as a writer to visually see what something looks like. I personally really love concept art. So that was my concept art spiel.
I was like, I'm cutting this whole entire section out. Anyway, I'm just kidding. Any final thoughts before we didn't mention it, but it was directed by Robert Rodriguez, which is not really a surprise, because he did do essentially the Boba Fett. We'll call the Boba Fett episode.
The Boba Fett episode. He did the backdoor pilot for this.
Right. So not surprising. Also, I noticed he's also an executive producer on this show. So that was also interesting. Then again, so is Kathleen Kennedy. So what does that really mean, in terms of who's making decisions?
Well, the executive producer title really just means, and you know this, but our audience might not. The executive producer title really just means, without this person, this show would not have been made.
Right.
So generally what that means is this person donated didn't donate, but went out and secured a lot of the funding. And that's how you got the executive producer title, is you were the person on the ground running around to people and getting them to pay you a bunch of money to do a thing.
Or you're just the most important person and you negotiated in your contract that you wanted an executive producer title credit.
Which is probably how Robert Rodriguez ended up with it.
Which, hey, all power to him. You know, I love that. Which it also gives him more creative control.
That is also true.
Which is great.
That is also true. I would be curious if are we acting under film things, which is what I just said, or are we acting under more TV things where the executive producer for TV shows is a lot different?
Yeah.
Because the executive producer of TV shows is generally also the showrunner, which I don't, I think Jon Favreau is the showrunner for this.
I mean, this first episode was written by him, so
it was written by him. It was developed. So that's not the show was developed by him and Dave. So, like,
to be fair though, I feel like John's gonna have a hand in every Star Wars show moving forward, so it doesn't really matter like what percentage he's involved, but he'll definitely have a hand.
Definitely this like Mando verse that they've carved this period of the timeline. For sure. I don't know how involved he's going to be in like Obi-Wan Kenobi.
That's a good question, because I feel like in this Mandoverse, I don't think Obi-Wan Kenobi counts in the Mandoverse. Like, I like how we're saying Mandoverse like it's an actual term.
Mandoverse. I don't think it's going to be super relevant. I don't think it's going to be super relevant to this particular initiative.
Yeah.
But something like Ahsoka, he may be decently involved.
For sure. I think like they said, it's Mandalorian, now Book of Boba, Ahsoka, and then what would have been Squadrons. So
Rangers of the New Republic.
Rangers of the New Republic.
Which is now been rolled into Mandalorian.
Right. So maybe Boba was their way of doing a third show without like doing a third show. If that makes sense. Like, because they were losing a show. I don't know. We'll see. Moving forward, we'll see how this turns out.
We'll see how this show plays out. My final thoughts are it's really good. I really liked it. I liked the focus on Boba as a character. I was once again sold mindless hype action and got a thoughtful, moving character piece instead. Damn you, Lucasfilm, for fooling me once again.
Final thoughts. I need more Fennec Shand. I need more Boba flashbacks. I need more Camino / holding my dead father's head flashbacks. I need something else besides Tuscan Raiders. I need something, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the Tuscan Raider flashback, but I am worried that once that storyline is concluded in the next episode, which I'm pretty sure it is, I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if maybe the whole entire series is going to focus on him with the Tuscan Raiders in the flashbacks, and like there's different things that happen with that, or if just the first 2 episode arc is him with the Tuscans and then we get different flashbacks. I don't know. We'll see. Because there is a 5-year period of flashbacks that we're going to get, I guess. So who knows?
Next week, we are actually for the next 5 weeks, we are going to have guests. Awesome. So be on the lookout for that. I will not be announcing who they are until the days that the episodes go live, but we've got a special lineup of them. We've got some really awesome people. It's all new people except one. We are bringing one person back.
So I hate returning people. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we have some recurring cast members, Bradley.
Oh my gosh, we have recurring cast now.
We have recurring cast. And then my final thought is, Tim, I am always available. Please.
Okay. I'm ending the episode. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you for listening to Goldsquadrongays.
Did we forget something? Email us at goldsquadrongays@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter at goldsquadgays, and you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at goldsquadrongays. Subscribe to us on YouTube at Gold Squadron Gays, where we post this podcast as well as exclusive video content.
Please join us next week and every week for another episode of Gold Squadron Gays.
Because that's not going to work. I got to read it. Otherwise, it's going to be so bad.
Bradley, you can't read. This is a problem. How are you doing this week to week? You're breaking the internal continuity logic of the show.
I know.
Bradley, you can't just change the rules of the universe to tell a good story. You have to be consistent. This is a hard magic system we're working with.